Let's just dive right in with a pretty big and maybe kind of uncomfortable idea. You're not actually living out your beliefs. You're just repeating your childhood. So in this explainer, we're going to explore these hidden forces that are really driving our actions and why they might have a lot more to do with your past than you think. Have you ever felt this in your own life? I mean, this huge gap between what you believe and what you actually do. On one hand, you're this person who, yeah, genuinely believes in things like respectful dialogue. But on the other hand, what's your gut reaction? The second you feel criticized, you start yelling. It's almost like there are two different people living inside of us, and the one that grabs the steering wheel in a tough moment isn't always the one we'd choose. So this leads us to the big puzzle, right? Why is there this disconnect? Why do our actions so often seem to sabotage our best intentions? Are we just failing at willpower, or is there something, way deeper going on? Well, here's an answer that is pretty powerful. It suggests that the real operating system running our behavior isn't our adult, logical belief system. Nope, it's the programming we got when we were kids. And that is the core idea we're going to unpack together. I love this way of putting it. Think about your automatic reactions for a second. How you deal with conflict, how you react when you're stressed. These aren't just random one-off events. They're like sentences in a book. And that book is your biography. The thing is, the early chapters, the ones written back in your childhood, they often end up dictating the plot of the chapter you're living right now. Okay, so let's actually give this thing a name. We'll call it the childhood blueprint. Now, this isn't just about what you remember. It's the whole emotional and psychological framework you built as a kid. It's the unwritten rulebook you learned about how to get love, how to stay safe, what you should be afraid of, and that program is still running in the background of your adult life. And right at the heart of this blueprint is a really profound and very human truth. So many of our most confusing behaviors as adults, our anxiety, our flashes of anger, our neediness, they're really just the echoes of that inner child who is, in some small way, still just waiting to finally feel safe. All right, so that's the theory. But how does some experience from way back when translate into a specific behavior today? Let's look at a really concrete example to see how this chain of events gets built step by step. So let's trace this out. It all starts in the past. Imagine a little kid, and every time they try to share how they feel, they're told they're being dramatic, or they're just completely ignored. Well, that creates a massive unmet need inside them. To be safe, to matter, I have to be heard. Now flash forward to today. What happens? That person, now an adult, unconsciously recreates that same scene over and over, but this time they're the one in control. They become the person who never listens, who constantly talks over everyone else because they're desperately trying to meet that old, deep need to finally be heard. And this is the most crucial part. It's not a conscious choice to be a bad listener. It's not a character flaw. It's just an echo, bouncing off the walls of the past. It's an unconscious drive to fix an old wound. And when you understand that, it helps you switch from judging to having compassion, not just for other people, but for yourself too. Now, hearing all this, it's pretty easy to feel, a little hopeless, right? Like, great. So if my behavior is just an echo, am I just doomed to repeat this stuff forever? And that brings us to maybe the most important question of all. Are we actually stuck? And the answer, thankfully, is a huge no. This is our roadmap for writing a totally new chapter. The first and most important step is a reframe. Your past is your explanation, but it's not your excuse. Just having that awareness is the first step to real change. From there, you can start to turn that unconscious repetition into conscious reflection. You can choose to practice self-compassion instead of beating yourself up when you see these patterns pop up. And maybe the most powerful tool of all is to get curious and ask yourself this one question whenever a weird behavior shows up. What unmet need is this behavior trying to meet for me right now? That curiosity, that's the real key. So we'll wrap up here by bringing it all back home to you. See, understanding your blueprint isn't about blaming your past. It's about empowering your present. It's about realizing that you're the one holding the pen. And it leaves you with one simple but profound question. Now that you know the story you've been repeating, what are you going to choose to write on the very next page?